This is Where to Put Commas, Part 1. It's all about parenthetic elements today. I'm going to tell you what they are, show you how to identify them, and then we're going to do some practice. After the practice, I'll show you the answers, and we can do one together. Word of the day, real quick first, is zeal. Fervor, eager, enthusiastic, diligence. This is a noun, by the way, so it's something you can have. You can have zeal. Zealous, on the other hand, is an adjective. It can describe a person or a cat. Dogs are almost as cute as cats. They deliver parcels. Two sentences here. Kind of ugly, though. Dogs deliver parcels. Without the element, it looks like that. That's why I've highlighted in yellow. You can also see that there are three different kinds of parenthetic elements. Basically, the function is to just add more information to the sentence. However, the parentheses are a little bit different than the commas, and those are a little bit different than the dashes. So parentheses kind of remove the element from the sentence a little bit. They hide it, if that makes sense. Commas are the most basic one. They're just sort of normal. And then dashes represent a severe break in thought. You'll see that more often creatively. Every once in a while you'll see it in a regular piece, but it's not as common. The key thing to remember, especially if you're taking like an SAT or something, is that you don't want to mix up the comma with the dash. They always come in pairs. It's going to be dash, information, dash, comma, information, comma, etc. And just remember that dogs deliver parcels. You can pull that part out. That's one way that you can know whether it's a parenthetic element or not. Often you'll see parenthetic elements, you'll see more than one in a sentence, so it can get pretty complicated. So here it is. You can see here, I recollect that when a stripling, my first exploit in squirrel shooting was in a grove, blah, 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 right? You could take out when a stripling. I recollect that my first exploit in squirrel shooting was in a grove. It's surrounded by commas, and so that's why it's going to be there. So this, you can take your time if you want to take a look and read the whole thing and pause it, kind of notice where they are. It might help you complete the task. If you feel confident, then just stick with me and we'll go through the whole thing. It's about squirrel hunting, by the way, kind of rude. Okay, here it is. Take a minute, pause it, and then when you're done, we'll go over it together.
Quick recap. A parenthetic element is a part of a sentence that doesn't need to be there. It interrupts the flow of the sentence too.
So I definitely believe in practicing hands-on learning as a way to really understand a concept. So instead of me talking to you, we're going to slow it down a little bit, and I'm going to show you how I would find the parenthetic elements. So we've already gone over when a stripling. So we're going to add commas here and here to surround it, as you do with all parenthetic elements. And we're just going to be focusing on commas. A little thing about the commas versus the parentheses versus the dashes. The commas are the most important ones, so if you're just starting out, whether you're writing or editing, you really generally 90% of the time you're just going to do commas. So, and that's what we're going to be doing here too. So you can see that you take this out. It says, I recollect that my first exploit in squirrel shooting was in a grove of tall walnut trees that shades one side of the valley. Okay. Now, this is not a parenthetic element. It doesn't interrupt the flow of the sentence, and it describes the grove, so it's fine. It's like you can say, I had an appointment at 2 o'clock. You know, at 2 o'clock is, sure, it's extra information, but it's not interrupting anything. It's telling you more about the appointment. I had wandered into it at noontime, when all nature is peculiarly quiet. You don't need that. That's rubbish. I mean, I guess it's important, but it's interrupting the flow of the sentence, and you could have the sentence without it. And was startled by the roar of my own gun as it broke the Sabbath stillness around. And was prolonged and reverberated by the angry echoes. So this is kind of older language, but this is describing this I. This I is the subject of the sentence. So if you take all these parenthetic elements out, you just have I had wandered into it at noontime, and was startled by the roar of my own gun, and was prolonged and reverberated by the angry echoes. Okay. I mean, if I was an editor, I'd probably take this last part out too. It makes it seem kind of run-on-y, but all good. Okay. If ever I should wish for a retreat, whither I might steal from the world and its distractions and dream quietly away the remnant. See, like when you're reading this, you see all these ands and no punctuations. It's obviously something missing here. The key is just to know where to add the commas. So this is Old English, but whither I might steal from the world and its distractions. That's a parenthetic element. And dream quietly away the remnant of the troubled life. By the way, yeah, and if you write this, something like this, for an assignment for a teacher, they will accuse you of making run-on sentences. Probably even if you add all the commas. I mean, but now you know how to defend yourself if they say that. But there you go. So now this says, if ever I should wish for a retreat, I know of none more promising than this little valley. Simple sentence. It could cut the fat, you know. One interesting thing that I want to mention is that if you're ever in the need for speed reading, whether that's on the SAT or otherwise, you can kind of gloss over a lot of parenthetic elements. They are not always central to what's being discussed, and if you're finding it hard to get through something to get the main idea, then this is a good way to do it. Keep in mind that you could be missing important information. But, you know, if you keep that in mind and you're careful, then that can be a strategy to get through a passage really quickly. So now it reads much cleaner, actually. It says, I recollect that my first exploit in squirrel shooting was in a grove of tall walnut trees that shades one side of the valley. I had wandered into it at noontime, and was startled by the roar of my own gun, and was prolonged and reverberated by the angry echoes. If ever I should wish for a retreat, I know of none more promising than this little valley. Clean. Here's another one I made. You can do this on your own. I do have the answers to this. It's going to be on my website. Link in the description. Don't miss us next time. We're going to have part 2 of where to put the commas. It's going to be part of listing, and that will include the dreaded Oxford comma. Have a good week, guys. Bye.